Look, if you want to dominate your local market, it's simple. You must become a brand. The best way to establish your brand is by amplifying the power of you through a series of professionally produced videos shared on Facebook and Instagram for all to see. You need an incredible video to attach to your email campaigns using your Facebook ads and especially your personal website. So if you're ready to start dominating your local market, give us a call today. We'll give you a free consultation and we'll walk you through the steps. Welcome to the show. My name is Jeremy Poole and I'm the host of The Moment on Real Estate Social, where we explore and celebrate the necessary transformational process one must go through to achieve a high level of success in real estate. Today, we have the pleasure of hanging out with Michael Smira of John L. Scott in Portland, Oregon. Michael's an interesting guy. Michael's only been in business for less than 3 years now. In his first year, this guy crushed out $15 million in volume. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Michael, as you know, the show is called The Moment. What would you characterize as being your moment or a series of moments that allowed you to get to where you're at?
You know, I like to say that, life's a culmination of events that brings us to where we are.
Right.
It helps us, guides us to where we need to be. And there's been a number of things that led me down the path to where I'm at now. So, near fatal car accident.
Oh, wow.
In 2010. I had cancer in 2012. Recovered from, drug addiction and, dealing with that lifestyle.
Jeez.
So it's just been, it's been a long path.
I didn't know any of this about you in terms of the car accident and cancer. Okay, so let's back up.
So you knew the other stuff?
Honestly, that's what this show's all about. Is that I think sometimes, number one, I came here partly, so here in Portland, partly for you, because I heard that you did so well his first year. Most agents struggle the first few years, and a lot of them fall out. But you really took to and kind of found your niche here in the Portland market. So from going through all that terrible stuff, I guess, let's start with the car accident. What happened?
Oh, well, I was delivering pizzas.
You're delivering pizzas?
And I was going through a side street. And,
okay.
No uncontrolled intersection, and some lady just hit me.
Wow.
Right on. We just met right in the middle and totaled my car. And I ended up in the hospital for about a week with bruised heart.
Wow.
And then it ended up with shoulder surgery and a few other things. So it was a long road.
Wow. Okay. So then you had another moment.
Yeah. So about a year and a half later, I work a lot with nonprofits.
Okay.
And so, because I have, a diverse background.
Sure.
They have me do public speaking events, and I like to share my story.
Yeah.
Because, there's something in my story that could help somebody else that I'm willing to share.
Certainly. That's awesome.
But I started getting laryngitis.
Ah.
And, I just kept on coming back. So I thought, might as well go to the doctor. Mm-hmm. I felt a lump in my throat here. Ooh. And I thought that was it, but it wasn't. It turned out that was a large cancerous nodule on my thyroid. So
that's scary.
Yeah, it was, it wasn't what I expected.
No.
So I had surgery, had that removed, went through radiation. I've had a lot of friends who had cancer, and I think that, when you hear that word, it puts, just the fear in you.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about, life, what you want to do. And I think that the events that I went through leading up to that, had kind of solidified how serious I was about my life and what I want to do.
So Michael, how has your drug addiction and issues with drugs in the past affected your business and kind of how you evolved to who you are today?
Leading up to getting my real estate license, I had to really, focus on doing the right things, proving that, I wasn't, what I look like on paper, proving that to myself and also potentially my clients.
Sure.
So, I was bored one day. I was making calls on Zillow for sale by owners and make me moves.
Yeah.
And I, got an appointment with a potential seller, and nailed it. He signed the listing agreement right there on the spot. He liked what I had to say, and my marketing plan was on point.
Right.
And we had everything all lined up to go. He worked in HR. He decided to do a little check on me.
Really?
Did not like what he saw.
Okay.
And, decided that we were under, the listing contract.
Sure.
So he made a big enough issue about it that we just released in front of him. It wasn't worth the drama and
of course not.
But it also opened my eyes to to realize how my past was now part of how it's coming back to me.
Right.
Wasn't my most shining moment, but it did. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm a culmination of my past experiences. I wouldn't change it because I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Absolutely. And so let's talk more about that. I guess how were you able to pull yourself out of that situation? Because I feel like a lot of people, they get stuck in, whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever it is, it either destroys them or it makes them stronger.
Yeah.
And in your case, it seems like it really made you stronger. It made you a more diverse, likable person.
It was a struggle.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Did get into a little trouble.
Okay.
So I had a little motivation. To help get me all cleaned up. I was homeless and sleeping on a couch.
You were homeless and sleeping on a couch.
Sleeping in my broke down Pontiac Sunfire.
Wow.
Back in 2003.
Back in 2003.
And so those were some of the worst times.
So kind of paint for us the picture of how you got yourself into a position where you're homeless and living out of your car.
Well, I mean, it's just when you are controlled, you lose. I mean, you're not yourself. When somebody's in their active addiction, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
And you lose all sense of yourself and your identity.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. Wow. So every bit of money went to it, and it's the opioid addiction. That's the big thing now. It was big back then, but it's just gotten a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And it all stemmed from another car accident I had earlier when I was younger.
Oh.
And so
you got in a car accident, you got hurt.
And then I was getting Vicodin, and they just kept on prescribing and prescribing and prescribing.
Wow.
And then I was in high school, and then suddenly people were like, "Oh, you have Vicodin, let's be friends." And that whole path. But
wow.
But it just led down a dark road, and I started, it wasn't, it was never enough, and then it was, let's try something else.
Sure.
And before you know it, I went from being, straight A high school student to homeless living in a car.
Wow.
And
so you're a straight A student, got hooked on drugs, some bad things happened to you. How did you pull yourself out of that? What was, I guess, a shift in your thinking, turning point in your life that you said, Michael, there's so much more than this?
I went to treatment, and I had enough time to sit and reflect on myself.
Yeah.
To where I realized, I pissed away almost my entire 20s.
Yeah.
In this different life.
Yeah.
And it was really time for me to just stop with the BS.
Yeah.
Realize that this is my life.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to accomplish anything that I dreamt I could do, I have to do it now.
Absolutely.
So at 28, I finally went back to college.
Okay. 28. All right.
Mm-hmm. And I graduated in 2014. So while I was in real estate, I graduated still. So I got my marketing degree at PSU.
Very cool. I saw that.
And but before I started real estate, I talked about how I like to work with nonprofits and give back. I started working with people seeking recovery. So I worked with Volunteers of America, and their drug court, working with youth and mentoring folks, and just trying to give back that way. But that's
awesome.
That was counseling on a whole nother level.
Wow.
So, but all these experiences has played into my real estate career, because when you think about sitting one-on-one with somebody, you're counseling them to try to get through this hard time in their life.
Yeah.
We're doing something similar with buyers and sellers.
Absolutely.
And,
there you go.
Or helping a buyer or a seller realize the process that they need to go through. And there's an art of letting go.
Interesting.
Especially when somebody's so attached to a property. They've lived there for 30 years.
Wow.
And you get the hoarder every now and then that doesn't want to let go of anything.
No. They're out there. So most of our viewers are aspiring agents a lot of people who are watching this show identified real estate as a viable platform to accomplish their goals, to achieve the kind of income they want, to have control over their time. And I think a lot of people, when they decide to go through the process of getting their license and embarking on this journey, they all have this fairy tale idea of what's going to happen and how they're going to build the business, how they're going to crush out 15 million in their first year. And so often they don't, but you did. Why do you think you were successful?
Well, I mean, it wasn't. Sometimes you get an agent who is still holding on to their other job and they're trying to do it part-time. Yeah. That doesn't work. No. You're either all in or you're all out.
I like that.
You know, because I had to be completely devoted to building this career, because that's what it was. Right. I grew up loving real estate. I'd watch infomercials late at night as a kid, and I'm like, oh, how, they're doing this real estate stuff, and it just always fascinated me. So I'm finally in it. Mm-hmm. And so when I followed the advice of people in my office. Yeah. I had a good friend here. She's the one that got me into this office and really helped me, figure out what I wanted to do. And she said, I was working in a nonprofit making $15 an hour. Okay. Full benefits. Thought it was awesome. I was like, oh man, this is great. It's safe. I'm good. Exactly. Yeah. It's safe. Yeah. It's safe, and that's what a lot of people get stuck in. Right. They want that safe hourly rate, and they want the guaranteed income and health insurance, which is fine. That's safety and security is some of our basic needs. But there's a couple things I always say to myself is that I'm not going to get anywhere sitting on my hands. Yeah. If I'm sitting on my hands, that means I'm not doing nothing. Yep. And then also with someone can be good, or they can be great. Mm-hmm. And to be great, you have to take risks.
You have to take risks.
You have to take lots of risk, and sometimes it's a lot of times it's uncomfortable, because we like to do the same thing. Yes. It's like it's just built into us.
It is.
Yeah, it's just first 90 days, came in here, followed some advice. Some people said don't take it so seriously. I try not to.
Well, just so for instance, like what specifically were you doing?
I was any open house I could get. Any open houses? I'd do it. I'd get. I wanted to have even back then I wanted to have the sense that I had a well-rounded support team in place. New agent, it's hard to get someone to even trust you. Sure. But I worked 15 years in the service industry, so I know that presentation is a lot. Super important. So I'd get my lender to come do an open house with me, and I would listen. Because when a buyer comes into the house or a seller comes in, they want to know that what they're saying isn't falling on deaf ears, and they want to know that you're listening. So what I would do is I would set up my laptop in the kitchen. This is my secret. So I'd set up my laptop in the kitchen. I would set it to the notes page, because I did an experiment. There's apps you can use to get people's information through Open House Pro or whatever it is. Yeah. They don't want to use that. They're really skeptical. Sure. So I just set it up to notes, name, email, phone number. I type in a couple fake ones. I said, hey, we need to get you to sign in. Yep. Won't spam you, won't sell your email. And then from there, I would find out what they wanted. I'd walk up to the house, tell a story about the house. Yeah. Make something up probably. And I'd put little notes and acronyms by their names. So then I would send them a customized search after. I like that. After the open house. And so then I would start doing that weekly until they tell me to stop. Mm-hmm. And then before you know it, I'm getting clients, I'm getting sellers. And so that really worked for me. And then I also had, being in real estate, you see a lot of development going on. Right. And for me, that is what excited me. It's like you see a transformation of a house getting renovated, or you see a building going up, or new construction going, subdivisions going up. And sure. I wanted to be a part of that. Wow. So what I did is I just started learning, zoning codes, how I would start bothering builders and everybody. I started becoming that nag. Just pesty. Until I learned enough and understood the business enough to really know how to pitch the right deals, and also, successfully know how to work with people who are as busy as developers. Right. So where does the majority of your business come from? Right now, it's been even, about 50-50. Okay. And I need it to stay that way. I don't mind doing more. I will take more, but I think that if there's a blip in the market and new construction falls down, or finding projects is hard, then I at least want to, I still have my everyday buyers and sellers who I love to work with.
Absolutely.
Because, new construction is great, but you don't get that
Sure.
personal element when you're talking with somebody.
I like it. Are you a one-man team? Or are you currently have a team? Are you growing a team?
I'm growing a team. So I have agents I refer to closely, exclusively. Okay. I'm working on my principal broker license now. So now, since I've been in it 3 years,
very cool. Yeah.
I can finally get my principal broker license.
Right on.
And so, I have my assistant. I have another agent that works with me.
Great.
And so I'm working on it.
Phenomenal.
We'll see what happens.
So you've had a great start to your career. First year was a bang, and every year since then you've grown.
I've almost doubled. Yeah.
You've almost doubled. What's next for you, besides growing your team, or is that it? Is that
No,
the next
so
evolution?
No, I think that having said that, I like the development side.
Yeah.
I want to build things.
You want to build stuff.
So I'm
okay.
also I'm in the process of developing. I'm designing a 15-unit apartment building.
Where at?
South Waterfront area, Lair Hill.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very
and
nice.
These are things I'm going to keep. Not going to sell. I'm just going to keep them.
Okay.
And
when are these properties supposed to be ready for?
Well, we're going to be permitting soon.
Okay.
So, however long that takes, the
Yeah.
city's crazy when it comes to permits. But I just want to leave my mark on the city in a positive way.
I like it. I like it. Walk me through what a typical day looks like for you. What time do you get up? What do you do? Just a little bit.
Okay. You want a busy day or like?
A busy day.
Okay. Well, busy day, get up at 7, go to the gym, go around to all my listings because I like listings like crazy.
Yeah.
Make sure that everything's good.
Okay. How many listings do you have right now?
I think I have like 10 active and I have about 4 more going on this week and another
Nice.
4 the next week. So it's
A lot.
my signs are everywhere. But that's a blessing. So
Yeah.
I'm just really fortunate to have that. But go check on my listings, check in with my clients. I'm in my car a lot. So if I'm lucky, I'll stop for lunch.
Yeah, really.
If not, I always bring a snack with me. I have protein bars and
Yeah.
all, like a bunch of
You
stuff
have
in my
to.
car.
Yeah.
Case of water.
Yeah. Stay hydrated.
And then, might have I have a couple hours later in the afternoon, like 3 or 4 p.m. where I do paperwork or I make sure that the right paperwork's in place.
Yeah.
And then usually in the evening, I'm having dinner with clients or networking in some way.
Wow.
Because,
Just go constantly.
well, yeah, it's part of the business.
That's part of the business.
If you're not networking or doing something that's involved, and you're not really doing much, but for me, I like what I do. It excites me. So for me, it's not really
work.
It's not even really work
Sure.
because I found what works for me, and I've also discovered that with a real estate license, we can be very creative in what we do.
Yeah.
We don't have to stick with the everyday buyers and sellers. We can get out there and start, identifying projects, bringing them to builders. We can do our own projects. You can do property management. You can do all kinds of stuff, and still make a decent living doing it. And and knowing that the flexibility and being able to work remotely is amazing.
Yeah,
I just got back from 3-week vacation.
Where
So I was in Spain, and then I visited Rome and Portugal, and back here.
Excellent. Well, I think what I'd like to hear, and I'm sure what a lot of our viewers would like to hear, is what piece of advice could you give to somebody? Let's say they've been in the business for a while, it's not really going as they planned, they're kind of considering either giving it a big push or leaving the industry. What's some advice you can give to them to really get out there and go after their dreams? Because it sounds like what you did well was you got busy. You weren't in the office, you're moving and shaking.
Yeah.
Just activity.
I'm never here. I'm never in the office.
Yeah.
This is the first time
I heard that.
Actually,
I heard that from a few people.
some people are like, "Oh, I've heard of him. Who is that guy?"
Yeah. Actually, seriously, as we're setting up, we were asked a few times who we were interviewing. We told them Michael. They're like, "What? He's coming in today?"
I think what what I would suggest is finding someone you connect with
Okay.
that's a successful broker,
Right.
and ask to interview them, or ask them to mentor you, or if you think you have a lot to benefit from another person, team up with them,
Yeah.
or at least just figure it out. Also, listening is a big part.
Yeah.
I always talk about listening and being an active listener and
Sure.
trying to communicate, because a lot of it's delivery, and if we don't deliver right, then we're not going to get the business right.
Right.
But there's just a lot. I mean, there's a lot. I don't know if there's just one thing.
Okay.
But
Well, that works. Well, Michael, thank you
Thanks
so
a
much for
lot.
being on the show. Thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
And thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you again next week.